Fam, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of the CEO Pulse podcast, where you get the real, the raw, and the mind of entrepreneurship. Another special episode of the Mindset Monday series with my co-host. I kind of stole that intro from somewhere. I'm not going to tell you where.
I don't care. I like it.
Yeah. Justin Thorstad.
Thank you.
Justin. Okay, enough of that. Let's talk about focus. I felt like I was out of focus on that intro. Maybe that's the issue. But
among other things.
Yeah, let's break it down again, right? Like let's go get into the concept or the idea of focus and staying. I mean, we've talked about intention. We've talked about overwhelm. We've talked about the power of awareness, and I don't think we've talked enough about focus, right?
Yeah.
And I think that that one of our strengths or weaknesses, depending on what day of the week it is, can be being thinking about too many things at once, having too many ideas come through, and wanting to adopt all those ideas at the same time, that sort of thing.
You get overwhelmed, and
yeah,
it's just a mental masturbation.
Yeah, exactly. And getting into it, like the distractions that can get in the way are I mean, they vary from like super little things, dealing with employees, dealing with what's the next step, what's the next project that I'm gonna take on, in the next 3 months, or like shit, I gotta like edit my Spotify playlist.
Yeah, totally. Well, I mean, here's how I look at it. Like, the value of focus is this. First and foremost, like, your most precious commodity, in my opinion, is attention.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, I used to think it was time, because you spend your time, it's gone. Like, you don't get it back, right?
Yeah.
And so that's a valuable resource. However, what about your attention? Your attention span, what you focus, that is attention, right? Where you place your attention is where you invest your energy. And where you invest your energy, it must grow and multiply.
Right.
And so your attention, the ability to place it on a thing, and to the exclusion of anything else, any other distractions, is really where you're going to breathe life into an idea and bring it to its physical manifestation, into its materialization. So attention and the ability to focus that on a thing until it comes to life is critical to any entrepreneur. And the distractions piece is like, I'll just speak for myself. I know that, all of last year, starting up 8 different companies, it's like my focus and attention was so scattered with so many different things that it became a lot of work, and it was a lot of push, a lot of energy to make some progress of any, like, something to be proud of anyways, right? And so I noticed that myself and many other people that I coach, if you don't have focus on a thing, and you're focusing on many things, you don't make a lot of progress. You don't like the results that you're producing. They're not the highest and best that you initially intended. And so as men especially, if we don't make progress, like, we got to feel productive. We got to feel forward moving. And so it's like, oh, I'm going to go do this little project over here at the house. You know what I mean? So I can complete something and feel accomplished and some sort of significance.
Right.
Those are all just like BS distractions.
And they may sound like great things at the at the time, right? But I think we have to be aware and come back on a regular basis to what's the big thing, what's the big vision that we're after. We got to clarify that kind of stuff. Otherwise, it's and I feel like if you're in a 9 to 5, more than likely you're gonna have some issues with focus, but not as bad as when you're not working under a framework.
Yeah.
And I think that's what happens with us. Right, because we're building businesses, we're adapting, we're pivoting, we're bringing team or building the teams, we're onboarding new characters into the business. We're trying to pivot and adapt and create frameworks, right?
Moment by moment.
Yeah, whether you realize it or not. I mean, anytime you're building a business, you're creating from scrap. Even if you're following somewhat of a model, at the end of the day, like, it's gonna be your own individual thing, and that. I think that just puts us in a state where we run the risk of getting distracted, because distraction is a default to confusion.
Yeah.
You get confused. You don't have clarity. It's like, oh, I'm gonna start. I don't know, like painting the walls or something.
Well, yeah, and I think the thing to point out about distractions that people conveniently like to not look at is that it's a choice. You know what I'm saying? Like, think about it. It's your attention. It's you. And like a distraction, you have to choose to break focus and think about something else. And why would you do that if your focused attention is creating desirable results? You wouldn't do that. You wouldn't allow it. You wouldn't allow yourself to do that. So when people say, I got distracted, it's like distraction came out and, scared them and grabbed their attention and ran off with it. It's like, no, that's not happening. You chose that.
Yeah.
Like ultimate ownership. You know what I mean? Like you choose to get distracted. So no victims.
Yeah, exactly. So okay, let's break it down, I guess, into a couple of different steps, right? First, we get distracted. We start losing the focus on things, and then usually what happens is like we find ourselves in this somewhat of a cycle, right? That it keeps repeating itself, or think of it as a hole. The hole just gets deeper. If you're in a state of confusion, you're just gonna get more confused because there's inaction. There's not. There may be, I don't know, 50 things, right, that we feel like we need to do, but we're scattered, we're not focused, and that creates mental drain. It really becomes one of those things that if you don't address it as it's happening, it just it pulls you into it.
Yeah, but the thing about it is, like, many people don't address it, like prioritize, because if I'm distracted and I'm not clear and I don't have a set intention on what I want to create, that's convenient, and there's a payoff to that. And the payoff is I don't have to take responsibility for the result because it's not me the one creating the lack of results. I'm distracted, I'm not clear, and all that BS. My point is this. When you get abundantly clear on your intention on what you want to create and you're excited about it, don't you find yourself spontaneously doing important things like what you're good at within the business and creating? Because when you're doing that, you can enter a flow state. And then it's like 3 hours went by and you thought it was 15 minutes and you were having fun and like you lost track of all time. And so it's like distraction is the opposite of that. So if you're not in flow state, then you're not feeling productive and creative, innovative. You're not expressing your unique abilities. And so you got to feel significant, like you've accomplished something. So why not get distracted and go complete this little project over here that means nothing and has nothing to do with what your true intention is? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, absolutely. And again, it just becomes busy work, right? We've touched on busy work before, but it's not. It really breaks your productivity, your pattern for progress if you're tapping into one. It does, and it's incredible what happens because you get distracted and then you'll pull a thread of something else, and then that'll take you deeper into a whole different, rabbit hole, right? Next thing you know, you've spent 3, 4, 5 hours working on shit that does not move the needle, that doesn't even matter. That doesn't impact your business or your employees, or does not add value to anything that we're doing on a daily because we got distracted and then we focused on the wrong thing because of that distraction.
And I've done that before, and so at the end of 4 or 5 hours, you got a bunch of bullshit done, right? And you're like, I feel productive. It's like, wait a minute, I still have this looming problem over here that really needs to be addressed, and I just avoided it. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Have you ever read Eat the Frog?
Not exactly, but I know of the book and kind of some of its content.
So to summarize it in 3 seconds, right? You eat the frog first thing in the morning. Nobody wants to eat a frog, right? And if you're dragging ass on doing the stuff that you don't want to do, and you wait until like the end of the day to do it, the whole day you have this mental drain, this weight on you because I got to do that, and it becomes a heaviness or a heavy thing, right, for you to carry throughout the day. But if you come in and you eat the frog early in the morning, just knock it out. The rest of it is just kind of you feel accomplished already because you handle one of the most difficult tasks, and then you can move forward into other things. And it's incredible what it does. I mean, it's not just from the standpoint of productivity, right? But it's when we have a sense of accomplishment on something or from something, it's almost like you get there's a high that comes along with it.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then okay, you want to be more accomplished. You want to be more productive. You want to be like, it feeds on its own.
Yeah, you
itself,
build momentum with it. Well, yeah, so about eating the frog, I'll say this. Most people that I've coached, the ones that are afraid to eat the frog first thing in the morning, they put it off and put it off and put it off, and I'll do it later today. And then that moment never occurs. They end the day and it never got done. And then every day that goes by that it's still not done.
I'll do it tomorrow.
Yeah, it just gets harder and harder, and it doesn't get done. And if that thing doesn't get done, you're not in business. And so eating the frog first thing in the morning, man, the rest of your day is just gravy, and you get to go play and have fun with your unique abilities, and you produce beautiful, amazing synchronicities and serendipities in your business, connections, you know what I mean? Deals, whatever it is that you're doing. And that's when you really build some momentum, you got some inertia, and you're feeling great, because it's not so much what you do as far as the strategy that produces the highest and best, it's who you're being that's showing up to that strategy.
Yeah.
And so if you're beating yourself up and you're resistant to yourself because you know you sucked yesterday and you put off that thing and now it's harder to do it, like that's a low state of being.
Yeah.
Compared to powerful, proud. Like I think the only way to truly respect yourself is to finish a thing.
Well, it comes back to character is the way that we show up to things, right? Personality is kind of like how we behave and that kind of, but character is really, you know, how we show up to, you know, when we're being tested, when things are not necessarily panning out the right way. Like we default, we go back, or we get into that character that we want to become, right? And we have a choice on that. You have to finish things to respect yourself. I mean, that's what you just, you know, said. And I think it's very true, man. I think if you build the character of just falling off the wagon anytime something gets difficult, or anytime you feel like you didn't make any progress, you feel like you didn't move the needle, and you're losing faith on things, a lot of it is going to come back to that sense of focus and your ability to stay in focus and create, you know, something close to a state of flow, right? But the character really that shows up is what's important. Is like, how are we going about, right? The confusion that's often around us, and I get lost, dude. I really do. I get lost a lot of times in the tasks, and then one thing that happens, you know, quite a bit is I'll get into something and I'll dive into it and I'll do an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, and I'm just sucked into it, and then it hits me. It's like, shit, man, this is not my highest and best.
Yeah.
I may be focused on this one thing, but it's in the grand scheme of things, my highest and best is doing something, you know, totally different, right?
But let me throw a wrench in that. So what if that thing that you're doing that you end up spending like 3 hours on is because it's a new part of the business, it's something you got to learn, and you're actually like stimulated in a positive manner by learning about it, and then you just realize that you spent 3 hours and you thought it was 30 minutes. You know what I mean? So like, where's that line between focus and learning? And I think it comes down to I just answered my own question, but
I got another wrench for you.
Okay.
So here, and I'll give you a case in point, right? For example, one of the things, like this week has been, we're doing a lot of deals, we're moving a lot of stuff, and I've been underwriting a lot of properties, right? So underwriting is really not my highest and best.
No.
I can look at deals, I can, you know,
you're good at it, but stuff. It's not.
Yeah, but it's not my highest and best, and I know how to do it, I understand it, and whatnot, right? So I understand now that my highest and best right now is spending it with the team, training the team, and hiring. That's really where my personal highest and best is. And shit, when you walked in, or you know, someone I need to plug somebody else into this dispositions role.
Yeah.
And how, instead of me, for example, focusing on the hiring process and you know, scouting for somebody to come in, I've been spending hours upon hours looking at deals and underwriting deals this week, right?
Why?
I like deals. I'm a deal junkie.
Deal junkie, yeah.
Yeah. So, oh shit, yeah, it's good, right? And I get into it, and I'm like, okay, we can do this. We can structure it that way, and
it's fun.
and
it's creative.
There's so many, you know, different ways that you can play with real estate and deals, specifically, right? And make, you know, putting them together. I like that part, but it's not my highest and best. at the end of the day, if I stay in that cycle, right, and a month goes by, the needle is going to move on the financials, is going to move on the actual, on deals closed and everything. But business wise, I'm still going to be trapped in that cycle where I have to put in I haven't empowered anybody else to take over that time. Does that make sense?
So yes, it makes complete sense.
Now here's the other part to it. So as I'm doing that, I come out of it and I was like, oh shit, okay, cool. I just underwrote a bunch of deals. And then I still have this other list of really important things that I need to handle and take care of.
Now it's heavier because you put it off.
Yeah, my focus is all fucked up. Yeah. Like the focus on what really matters, right?
Right.
So
and the price we pay for that is, I think, much bigger than people realize. Because in order to take an organization from here and not like 2x, not 200%, but like 10x, it really involves, and I'm going through this right now, take all the things that you do 100%, write it down. And then what is 80% that I do that only produces 20% of my desired results? What's the 20% of that left over that produces 80% of my results? And the key is delete that 80%, like delegate it.
Yeah.
Or delete, right? So that's the three criteria in business. Everything that you do, I'm going to expand on it because I love it, it's fun, and I produce amazing results. I have a unique ability in such a way to expand on this. Like I'm really good at it. And that's revenue generating, yeah?
Right.
Okay, so the other things are either delegate it because it's got to get done, but it doesn't have to get done by you, and then delete because it's not really that important, it's not the primary focus, like get rid of it. And that's pretty easy to do actually because I think there's two ways to be successful. Not two ways. There's two items required to be successful. My apologies. Number one, stop doing shit you hate. That's the delete stuff, right? Some of it could be delegating. But the other piece is just you're guaranteed to be successful 100% if you do this one thing. Don't fucking quit.
Yeah.
It's that simple because eventually you're going to figure it out, right? So, but to go that 10x, like you really got to start putting people in place that are self-managing, that take initiative, that don't require, looking over their shoulder or micromanaging. And you got to relinquish control. And that's not always easy because we think that like nobody can do it as good as me. And we're full of shit. You know what I mean?
100%.
Because you were talking to me about your TC, your transaction coordinator.
Yeah. She just came on board and she doesn't have a transaction coordination background, but she's very sharp, super smart. And I have frameworks in place. I have, standard operating procedures and all that. So she's following that to a T. And I mean, it's like she's a pro on it already. She's handling stuff as it comes in. So we have the ability to empower people, right? Mm-hmm. It's really what business models and the systems and processes come down to. It's about empowerment and just creating some, not some, but flow within the business.
Yeah, because if you don't do that and you don't put key people in place, who, not how, right?
Right.
Then you're always going to be a business operator and not a business owner.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and on that note, it's like one thing that I just want to, if you're listening to the podcast, right? Like think in yourself, in your own space, and this is for the audience. How are you not focusing or losing focus or focusing on the wrong things? And how is that impacting you and your results, right? Again, I've seen people who are dialed in, but they're dialed in on the stuff that doesn't move the needle, on the stuff that doesn't matter, on stuff that's really below their skill set.
Yeah.
Because, okay, I'm feeling productive. Yeah. I'm getting a fix for like, I'm still working. So if I fail tomorrow, well, it's got to be the market. It's got to be the economy. It's got to be something else because I was working the entire time. Well, fucking work on the right things.
Yeah.
Right?
It's busyness versus business.
Yeah. So, and that's, I mean, it's important to have the awareness of that. Dude, I mean, I don't know if you're the same way. I think you are, but I talk to myself all the time, like all day. I'm going back and forth with conversations, and these are not mean. Like I'm not mean to myself. I'm pretty graceful to myself.
Just really honest.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It was like, oh, you could do better than this. and this is like me having a conversation with me, when I'm pushing for certain things, or like what are, like, better, you know what I'm saying, like it's not
Is
I'll
this
have
my
honest
best?
yeah, exactly. I'll have honest conversations with me and give myself feedback. So I know it sounds a little crazy, but it works. So anyways, with that being said, I'll think about a couple of things, right? The first one is I do look at the 80/20. What's the, and this is something that, if you read any personal growth books or whatnot, Pareto principle is going to be one of the rules that's the truest to life, right? 80% of our results come from 20% of our actions. So what are the 20% of the actions that I can knock out that are going to give me the most results, right?
Yeah. Spoiler alert: the things you love to do.
Yeah, exactly. Because I mean, it's easier to tap into that state of flow and productivity.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's one. I keep asking myself throughout the day: is this my highest and best? Is this my highest and best? I just keep thinking about highest and best. So between that kind of stuff, it's and having just checkpoints of awareness throughout. Like for me, a red flag, if I'm feeling tired, if I'm feeling exhausted or spent, like that's a red flag. Because usually I can work through the day if I'm in my happy place.
Yeah,
right?
sure.
But if it's 3 p.m., 4 p.m., and I feel like, okay, that's a red flag for me. I've been doing shit that it's not in alignment with the stuff that I want to do, and I get it. Like sometimes we have to go through it, especially when we're bootstrapping it. We're in the trench, and doing the work. Right? We have to do that kind of stuff. But it doesn't mean that we can't start delegating, and to be able to do that, we have to focus on the things that are gonna take us along that path.
Maybe that should be the next episode, like effective delegation.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, I like that.
So yeah, I mean, ask yourself the question, right? Like, what am I focusing on that's off, that I shouldn't be, putting a lot of time and effort into it, and where can I redirect my efforts? Where can I redirect my talent, my attention to?
The other thing is this: like some people watching this, listening, entrepreneurs are like, well, I'm a team of one right now, and I don't have money for delegation and all that stuff, so I have to do all the things. Okay, cool. That doesn't relinquish you of the responsibility to document your 80/20, because the truth of the matter is, if you spent time and focused on your 20%, that would produce so much revenue that you'd then be able to afford someone. Yeah. So you can't go victim to yourself. Like, you got to get done today. Okay, fine, that 80%. But how much time did you spend today on your 20%? Because that's what moves the needle forward. That's what generates the revenue. And that's how you're going to grow and scale. Or you'll be stuck as a team of one. Yeah. A solopreneur, is that what you call it?
Yeah, solopreneur.
Yeah, there's no glory in that.
No, it doesn't mean that we can't apply ourselves, right? It's glory. I think it's the right. There's this glorified stigma about being able to do everything or doing everything ourselves.
Oh, like the lone wolf or something, huh?
Yeah. Like, I don't need anybody. I can knock it out. And dude, I mean that's gonna kill your dream faster than.
Well, not only that, but if you think about it, a lone wolf. Yeah. Wolves run in packs, right? Like, the pack is only as strong as the weakest wolf. Yeah. And what happens to a lone wolf? Well, it dies a shitty death of starvation. You know what I mean? Like, there's no glory in that. Yeah. Suffering. Like,
so I mean, if that's the space, right? Think about where you want to be in 3 months, and then what are the things that you need to focus on to get there? I get it, right? We got to keep the lights on and whatnot. But if that's the case, and you're in the trenches and you're putting in the work, you're making the calls, it's got to be you right now. Try to allocate some time to. Don't try, just fucking do it. Yeah. Allocate some time to thinking how I can get out of this trench. Right? How can I pull myself into the next highest and best, right? And start thinking about that and align that with the focus that you have throughout the day. Otherwise, you're going to spin your wheels. You're going to spend a lot of time just kind of pedaling on stuff that doesn't really matter, doesn't really move the needle, and it's going to take you 3 or 4 times as long to get to point B than if you have this intention behind your actions and this clarity and more importantly, this self accountability that we need to have.
100%.
right, as entrepreneurs.
Yeah, and I think to further that and support it, for those of you still paying attention, like before you get into action and do that thing, because maybe you are a solopreneur right now, and there's some things that have to get done to generate that you don't like doing or you're a little scared of, and whatever the case is, and you find yourself not in the mood. Well, first and foremost, fuck your feelings. And like, I want you to remember this. All results are predictable, even spontaneous, based upon the conversation you have with yourself before you get started. So one thing you can do is set an alarm on your phone to go off every single hour. And that way, when it goes off, that's the reminder of what's my intention and is this the highest and best use of my time and efforts? Now, if it's something that's got to get done that I don't like doing, like sales calls or whatever the case is, like get yourself into a state where you are excited, empowered, and you do that by thinking about like the end result, actually having that result here in the now, the present moment of like how great it would feel and empowering and proud of yourself and excited, like all those wonderful elevated emotions. Get yourself in that state and then take action. Don't do it when you're unmotivated. I mean, probably don't anyways, but that's how you get yourself into a state. And then that version of you showing up to the action, watch what happens and what you produce with less effort. Like it's really beautiful. So get yourself in the state of the end result. Use an alarm on your phone to go off to remind you to do so, so that you show up big and powerful.
I love it. I love it. Nice and sweet, short and sweet. I think. I mean, we don't have to beat a dead horse on this, but it's important to just be aware, right, of where you're spending your time, whether or not that's actually moving the needle, because it's not just going to create, it's not only going to make you productive. It's also going to clear your mind. It's going to clear your thoughts. You're going to have a lot of more mental clarity. And I mean, if you're looking for peace of mind, which I know I am all the time, it's like I don't want to get home, for example, at the end of a day and then still have this engine in my head going because I feel like I didn't do anything and I worked all day.
Yeah.
It's lack of focus, people. It really is. It's lack of focus on our highest and best because we feel we should be doing something else, right? When we do our highest and best and we move forward on that, we feel accomplished. Just understand that. That's a fact. It's not an opinion. If you're doing a lot of stuff, but it's not your highest and best, you feel like you should have been doing something else, right?
100%.
Default thinking. So.
And so for those of you who are like, well, that sounds all good and great, but I don't have time. Okay, so one of the greatest experiences I ever had, I've talked about it before on here. My coach told me to get a blank schedule for the week, 7 days.
When you met me?
Jesus. No. And
whatever.
Set an alarm for every 15 minutes on your phone. 15 minutes from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed. It'll drive you nuts. But every 15 minutes that goes off, write down what you did over the last 15 minutes. You do that every single day for 7 straight days, you'll see how much time you literally piss away. Yeah. Like you ain't as busy as you think you are, and you're not focused. Yeah. So when you have that experience, you go, oh my God, I'm so unproductive. I'm not focused. It's like no like judgment of like I suck, but simply just looking at the situation for what it is and like, okay, great. Now with this information, I can make better informed decisions on how I want to operate and move forward. Like it's eye-opening. It's not easy. However, the benefit you can get from that is tremendous.
Dude, you're mentioning that. One of the things that I did a while back, and I've always said that I'm not a huge social media person. Like me, I'll post, stuff on a regular basis, right, for work and whatnot. But me, like, I don't know, posting what I'm eating, it's hardly a thing. And I'm not saying it's a bad thing.
I wish I was more active on there.
I forget to take pictures. I forget to do posts. If I'm on vacation, like, oh shit, I've gone through entire vacations and not that kind of. I'm that dude. I'm that guy.
Me too. Oh, dude, I'm the worst.
So I've always thought, right? No, I mean, I'm not that much on social and whatever. And you know that little the screen time tracker that you have on your phone that you can go in there and then you can see like how much time you spent on the screen. Man, when I looked at it, and this is a couple of years back, but I looked at it, I was like, man, dude, it was like 5 times more than what I thought I was spending on the screen.
Oh, no, mine,
I was like,
you can check mine right now, dude.
I guess I am.
0.
I guess. No, I mean, I gotten a lot better.
Yeah, but no, I mean, you gotta post some, you know what I mean? But I
thought I was spending like, maybe half an hour on it a day or
it's like 3 hours.
20 minutes. Yeah, exactly. So I was like, no, you spent 3.5, 4 hours.
Yeah, that's accountability, you know?
I was like, oh shit. So a lot of these things, right? You know, point I'm trying to make is it can be easy to just, you know, have a weird notion of what we're really spending our time in.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you're incorrect on what you think it is. It's a lot more of just ineffective, wasted time.
Yeah, exactly. And at the end of the day, it just creates headaches. So.
And if you're wasting time, you're not focused.
Yeah,
obviously. So,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So, Justin, where can somebody get a hold of you if they want to reach out, continue the conversation?
JustinThorstad.com, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube at Mindset Coach JT, and my cell phone, 602-348-8534.
Bam, fam. I hope you enjoyed this episode. And just a favor, right? Drop a comment. Let us know what kind of topics do you feel are relevant to you guys. It's a two-way street. So let us know your thoughts, comments. Make sure that you subscribe, like, and share. Send it out to somebody who you think might benefit from the podcast. And we'll catch you guys on the next one. Stay focused. You got this. Let's go.